Hello everybody, it's NetworkBret. I'm getting deeper into IPv6 multicast addresses. So going on the IPv6 deep dive, just going to get right into it. So the multicast format, the prefix is FF008, and a node can belong to one or to more than one multicast group. So this is the main format. It starts with ones. It has flags, a 0 RPT, then a scope, and then a 112-bit group identifier. We'll get into these in the next slides. So the flags 0 RPT. 0 is just what they're using now. 1 is reserved for future use, so it's just keeping the space open, nothing too complicated. The second point, or the R, is whether a rendezvous point is embedded. The third point is a P, and that's whether a multicast address has prefix information based on the network prefix, 0 having no prefix information, 1 having a network prefix. Pretty simple. The fourth flag is whether it is well known or a temporary multicast address. So not that complicated. You see the flags 0 RPT, very simple, just 0 or 1 defining these different things. Then the address. So there's assigned scopes, and there's a lot of assigned scopes. You can see, so the link local, same link, it's 2. The global scope would be E. F is reserved. And then there's a gigantic list of well-known addresses. It'd be almost impossible to go through all of them. I'm going to go through some. So the network time protocol server IDs as an example of these well-known addresses, where FF01 represents the network time protocol servers on the same node as the sender. Then FF02101 represents the NTP servers on the same link as the sender. FF05 is the same site as the sender. FF0E, or FF0E rather, is just on the same internet. So that could be all of them. So that's just, well-known addresses. There's a ton of them. If you want to look into it, you can check out this website, iana.org/assignments. Other notes are temporary assigned multicast addresses are only meaningful within a defined scope. They should not be used as a source address in IPv6 packets or appear in a routing header, which we'll get to in a different video. The management of multicast in IPv6 is done by MLD, which I'll get to, Multicast Listener Discovery. So solicited node multicast address. This is how they send sender neighbor solicitation request. So they can resolve MAC addresses to interfaces. So you want to know this is the request they send, so they can figure out which interfaces have which MACs. So you take the low order 24 bits of an IPv6, or the last 6 hex. Remember, hex represents 4. 6 times 4, 24 bits. So you add it to this address right here, the F02000001 FF00. So you just extend that to where, like, let's say this is the address you have. So the solicited node multicast address for this address takes the last 6, the ones that are red, and adds it to this one. Pretty simple overall, not overly complicated. Mapping multicast to MAC. So we're taking this FF0213, and you take the last 8 bits. So I expanded this out because sometimes it's a little confusing, because I looked at this last example and it looks weird because the way a MAC address is divided, it's every 2. So you see you see the one near the 3 up here, and you look down here and you think, wait a second, there's zeros in between 3. How am I supposed to know that? What indicates that? Well, that's because the format before was going in 4s. This is going in 2s. So I just wanted to extend this out just to show we're taking this last 8, putting it in a, different format, and then adding these 3s. So it's not that complicated. You just have to look at it a second and make sense of that. So I just wanted to explain. That's why I expanded it out, because if you just see this example turns into this, you think, whoa, well, why are there so many zeros in between, It's easy to think that sometimes when everything is so compacted in IPv6. So there's also an extended multicast format. So we looked at the multicast format here, but there's an extended one which is slightly different. It still has these things, they're just set up a little different. So excuse my lines, they're not very pretty. Microsoft PowerPoint sometimes lets you make things look nice, and other times it just decides that no, you can't do that. I'm going to make it disgusting. So sometimes it's not as pretty. And so the extended multicast format, it still starts with the 1. I abbreviated it just to kind of shrink it on the page, but it is still really 8 ones. So I just want to make that clear. The first one in the extended is still 8 ones at the beginning. Then it has the 0 RPT and the scope. Then a reserved, a PLEN, a network prefix, and a group ID. So the P in the ORPT defines whether assignment is based on a prefix or not. 1 being the extended format. So if you put a 1 there, it is the extended format. If you don't put a 1 there, it is not. The reserved, these 8 bits, are going to all be 0 if the prefix of P is a 1. So if it's an extended format, all of the reserved are going to be 0. The plen specifies the length of the prefix. If it is smaller than 64, unused bits should all be 0. Pretty self-explanatory. If P is 1, T will also be 1. So that it'll have a temporary multicast address if, I'm trying to think of how to word this. If it's the extended format, it has a temporary multicast address. So the multicast listener discovery, there's version 1 and version 2. Version 2 supports source-specific multicast, so SSM, and the traditional MLD version 1 only supports any source multicast, ASM. A multicast listener, when using ASM, cannot control the source of the data it receives, while version 2 you can. When SSM is in use, prefix length and network prefix are both set to 0, leading to a prefix FF3X/32, where X is the scope value. Required addresses per host. So this is where, when you first see this, you're like, well, this is a lot. This is a lot, IPv6. So each host has a link local for each interface, has any assigned unicast and any cast addresses, a loopback, an all nodes multicast address, solicited node multicast address for each of its assigned unicast and anycast addresses, and multicast addresses for all other groups it belongs. Seems really complicated. The router responsibilities, while it also has to know all this, the subnet router anycast address for the interfaces it is configured to act as a router for. All anycast addresses the router has been configured for, all routers multicast addresses, and multicast addresses of all other groups where it belongs. So it is a lot to remember, but it's not that complicated. Not as complicated as it sounds. Here are some rules that IPv6 nodes follow by default. They're required to follow this. Pairs of the same scope are preferred, so link local, global, they want them the same. Smaller scope for destination is preferred. A non-deprecated, I don't know how to say that, non-deprecated address is preferred, so something that didn't expire basically. Transitional isotap or 64 are not used over native IPv6s. And that kind of makes sense. If they have an IPv6 address, why would they want to use an isotap address? Longer common prefix are preferred if everything else is similar. They prefer an outgoing interface and prefer addresses in prefix advertised by next hop. So continued, they prefer matching label. For source address, temporary addresses are preferred over public. They prefer to use longest matching prefix. That's pretty normal standard stuff. In mobile IP situations, home addresses are preferred over care of addresses. Now, even though all these rules are defined in 6724, in 7078, you can define DHCP option where the administrator could override some of these rules. So if you prefer to use different rules, then you can do that. You have to override it with the DHCP option. So that is my lesson of the day. Until next time, I should have another video up soon.